It is mid-May 2026, and if you're anything like me, you are probably glancing at your phone right now just waiting for a notification.
Yeah, probably holding it in your hand, or, maybe it's just sitting there on your desk.
Exactly. And we are currently sitting at beta 4 of Android 17,
Yeah,
which is wild.
it really is. I mean, the stable release is just around the corner, probably dropping in, what, June or July?
Yeah, June or July.
Okay.
But we are not here today to talk about just another standard software update. I mean, we are looking at the literal death of the traditional operating system.
We really are. The whole paradigm of the grid of apps, the manual tapping, the swiping to navigate between these rigid silos of information, that entire architecture is being fundamentally re-engineered.
Right.
Android 17 is being billed, both internally and externally, as this massive transition, going from a passive tool to a proactive intelligence system.
A proactive intelligence system. That's the phrase. And for this deep dive, we have pulled together all the official announcements, the verified beta testing reports, and, of course, the incredibly dense developer documentation.
Oh, yeah. Those docs are a lot to get through.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
But the goal here is to give you, the listener, a shortcut, right? A shortcut to understanding this massive shift. We want to cut through all the corporate marketing speak so you don't have to read through hundreds of pages of technical specs just to understand what is about to happen to the device sitting in your pocket.
Exactly.
So we are going to cover the new AI features, the complete visual overhaul, and the hidden catches. Because there's a major catch when it comes to hardware fragmentation later on.
A huge catch, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. What makes Android 17 fundamentally different from the past, 18 years of Android development?
Well, to really understand the difference, we have to look at the core engine that's driving this whole update, which is Gemini Intelligence.
Okay, so the brain of the operation.
Right. In the past, an operating system was just a passive tool. It basically sat there acting as like a filing cabinet with a really nice suit of paint.
Right, you tell it what to do and it just executes.
Exactly. And if we look back at Android's history, the milestones were always just about giving you better tools to manually operate that cabinet.
Like Cupcake brought us widgets to see information faster.
Yeah, and Honeycomb brought us true multitasking, so you could, use two tools at once.
But the user was still the one doing all the heavy lifting. You were basically the project manager coordinating every single micro action.
Spot on. But Android 17, which, by the way, is rumored to be internally codenamed Cinnamon Bin.
Right, Cinnamon Bin.
Yeah,
right?
Cinnamon Bin. It brings us into this new era of autonomous multi-step agents. I mean, this is the absolute peak of Google's on-device AI strategy. The phone is no longer waiting for your command. It is actively anticipating your needs through what they're calling proactive automations.
Proactive automations. And the examples in the beta reports illustrate this perfectly. Like, let's say Gemini is running in the background. It is passively monitoring your calendar, right?
Right.
And it notices a sudden gap at 7 p.m. because, I don't know, a meeting you had scheduled just got canceled. In older versions of Android, that's where the process stops.
You just have a blank space on a calendar app.
Exactly. But here, the OS cross-references your location, the time of day, and your historical fitness habits.
Yeah.
And it proactively pops up a notification and asks, hey, you have a free evening. Should I book your favorite spinning class? Or maybe that yoga studio you go to.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And the Gmail integration is where we really see the multi-step mechanism of this agentic AI shine.
Hey, yeah, break that down because that blew my mind.
Okay, so think about the manual pipeline of a simple task today. If a college professor emails you a syllabus, you open the email, you highlight the book title, you copy it, you open a browser, you paste it into a search engine, you find a retailer, check if it's in stock, add it to your cart, and then you check out. I mean, it's incredibly tedious.
It's like 6 or 7 different context switches between completely different apps just to accomplish one single goal.
Exactly. But with Android 17, Gemini uses a local language model to parse the unstructured text of that PDF syllabus directly inside the email. It identifies the required reading list, including specific ISBN numbers, so it avoids getting the wrong edition entirely.
That's so smart.
Right. And then, using these secure background APIs, it queries your preferred online retailers, negotiates the inventory check, and places those exact books into a shopping cart for you. It does all of this invisibly.
Invisibly.
Yeah, it just presents you with a single button that says Approve Purchase. What's fascinating here is how this entirely shifts the cognitive load.
It really does.
Yeah.
It moves the burden from the user to the device. You aren't managing the logistics of your life anymore. You're just approving or denying the logistics that your device has already arranged for you. It's Backly.
It is honestly like upgrading from a static, dusty Rolodex to this overly eager executive assistant who literally never sleeps. But I do have to push back here.
Okay, go for it.
If this assistant is reading my college syllabus and it's parsing my personal emails and looking at my calendar, how do I stop it from making terrible assumptions?
That's the big fear, right?
Yeah. What if I already bought that textbook used from a friend? Or worse, how do I stop it from spending my money without my explicit consent?
Well, the developer documentation is actually quite explicit about the guardrails here. All of these proactive automations are strictly opt-in.
Okay, so they don't run by default.
No, not at all. You have to grant Gemini explicit permission to connect these different data silos, your calendar, your email, your wallet.
Right.
And importantly, the system architecture physically prevents it from making a financial transaction autonomously.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, it can tee up the action, right? It can fill the cart. But a hardware-level biometric authentication, so your fingerprint or your face scan, is required to actually release the secure payment token.
Got it. Okay, so if this agent is running all these background logistics for me, the old grid of apps just isn't going to be the most efficient way for it to communicate what it's doing.
Not at all.
The interface has to change. And looking at the docs, they are leaning heavily into audio and voice to handle this new dynamic, specifically with a new tool called Rambler.
Rambler is arguably the most aggressive reimagining of daily communication in this whole update.
It's wild.
It really is. It's an intelligent transcription feature for voice messages, but honestly, treating it just as transcription is really underselling it. It actively edits you in real time. It basically acts as an audio producer living inside your microphone pipeline.
Right, so you hold down the button, and as you're talking, if you say something like, I think we should meet at 6.
Rambler completely scrubs all those filler words. It removes the ums and ahs. It tightens up the awkward pauses using a generative audio model that just seamlessly bridges the gaps in your speech.
That's incredible.
And it can even adjust the tone of the transcription to sound more professional or more casual, depending entirely on who you are actually texting.
But it goes beyond just cleaning up speech patterns, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's running a really powerful on-device language model, it can support multiple languages inside a single voice message.
Wow.
So if you are bilingual and naturally mix, say, Spanish and English in your speech, code switching as you talk, Rambler processes both languages simultaneously. It formats the output so the person on the other end gets a perfectly coherent, unified text message in their native language.
And here's where it gets really interesting. If you are sending that mixed language audio to someone who only speaks French, it translates the entire polished audio message on the fly, regenerating your actual voice speaking French.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. But I have a serious philosophical question for you regarding this.
Okay.
If Rambler is automatically scrubbing all my ums and my ahs and my awkward little pauses, do we lose our humanity in our communication?
That's a really valid point.
I mean, think about it. If I ask a friend, hey, do you want to come to my party?
Yeah.
They say, yeah, I guess. That hesitation is crucial context.
Definitely.
That tells me they actually do not want to go. If the AI scrubs that out to make them sound hyper-efficient, I'm losing the emotional subtext of my relationships. Are we all just going to sound like perfectly polished, highly efficient robots talking to other robots?
It is a critical tension, and you are highlighting exactly what gets lost in the pursuit of optimization. Google's engineering philosophy here really revolves around reducing the friction between a user's intent and the device's output.
Right.
They essentially view a filler word or a long pause as a transmission error, like a glitch in the human hardware that the software can fix.
But the friction is the subtext. The friction is the humanity.
From a behavioral standpoint, yes, absolutely. But from a data standpoint, the AI is trained to prioritize clarity over emotional nuance. Google wants the technology to just get out of the way of the core message. Whether or not that actually degrades how we relate to each other, I mean, that's something society is going to have to figure out as this rolls out.
Yeah, we'll see. But that idea of reducing friction carries right over to how we customize the phone itself. We are moving away from the static app grid entirely and moving into AI-generated widgets.
Right, because customization used to mean just choosing from a preset list of widgets that a specific app developer decided to code for you.
And if a developer didn't build the exact widget you wanted, you were basically out of luck.
Exactly. But now you use natural language to bypass that entirely.
You literally just open a prompt on your home screen and type, I want a widget that shows my gym progress for the week right next to the local weather forecast for running.
And boom.
Yeah, boom. The OS generates a custom, perfectly functional widget instantly.
And the mechanism behind this is brilliant. The AI isn't breaking the security sandboxes of your apps to scrape this info. Instead, apps now expose structured data feeds, so secure APIs directly to the OS.
Yep.
The on-device AI reads the raw health data and the raw weather data, and then it literally writes the XML and Compose code in real time to draw a visual user interface right there on your screen.
Wow.
The AI acts as a real-time software developer, compiling a widget that literally didn't exist 10 seconds ago.
So we have this hyper-intelligent brain working in the background, writing code for widgets, booking our fitness classes, and producing our voice notes. But the actual physical experience of holding the phone, the look, the feel, the lifestyle features, that is all changing to balance out all that aggressive processing.
Oh, yeah. We are seeing a major UI tweak with what is being called the liquid glass style.
Liquid glass.
Yeah, it relies really heavily on blur effects, deep shadows, and translucency. The quick settings panel has been totally split to separate notifications from your hardware toggles. The multitasking bubbles are governed by these new physics animations to feel way smoother. And the desktop mode has been vastly improved to act a lot more like a traditional PC when you plug it into a monitor.
The visual changes are gorgeous from what we've seen in the beta. But they aren't just for aesthetics, right?
No, not at all.
If we look at the new lifestyle features, there is a very clear theme of physical and mental protection. Take Motion Assist, for example.
Oh, this is fascinating.
It's a brand new accessibility tool designed specifically to combat car sickness. If you are reading your screen while riding in the back of an Uber, your eyes are fixed, but your inner ear feels the sway of the car. And that sensory mismatch causes nausea.
Right. Everyone hates that feeling.
Exactly. So Motion Assist taps into the phone's accelerometer and gyroscope. When it detects the sway of the car, the OS paints these subtle subpixel dots on the edges of your screen that move in the opposite direction.
Wow.
It basically tricks your peripheral vision and your inner ear into syncing up. It is essentially digital Dramamine.
That's such a great way to put it. And they are pairing that physical well-being tool with mental well-being tools, too. Android 17 introduces really aggressive anti-doom scrolling features.
Oh, we all need that.
Seriously, if the OS detects you've been endlessly scrolling short-form video for like an hour at 2 a.m., it can dynamically desaturate the screen. It can introduce artificial latency to your swipes to make scrolling physically frustrating.
That's brilliant.
Or it can actively intervene with smarter notification controls.
It's like the phone acting as a nightclub bouncer, cutting you off at the bar when you've had way too much screen time. Just, sir, you've had enough algorithmic content for the night. It's time to put the phone down.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
when you connect the UI design, the translucent, blurry liquid glass and these digital well-being tools, a very clear strategy emerges.
Because
Google is actively trying to create a calmer digital environment precisely because the AI is doing so much heavy lifting. The interface needs to feel serene, almost sleepy even, because the backend is frantically parsing data constantly.
that makes total sense. And while it's protecting your peace, it is also offering unprecedented power for creators. We really can't ignore the multimedia updates here.
Definitely not.
They are rolling out a feature called Screen Reactions, where you can record your face and voice reacting over a video clip right at the OS level. No third-party app
Oh,
needed. And they've also fundamentally changed the underlying camera APIs.
This is a huge deal.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because for years, Android phones suffered on social media. Because apps like Instagram would just take a basic screenshot of the camera viewfinder rather than processing the raw image.
Right. It always looked compressed.
Exactly.
Ah.
Now, the new APIs allow third-party apps direct access to the uncompressed sensor data, meaning Instagram uploads will finally match the native camera quality.
And there's also the deep Adobe Premiere integration. This isn't just a standalone app you download. This is OS-level integration where Premiere has direct kernel-level access to the phone's hardware accelerators for real-time AI photo and audio editing.
So you just skip the usual rendering bottlenecks entirely.
Completely skip them.
Add in all the ecosystem upgrades. A smarter Android Auto, 3D emojis, much better support for foldables and tablets, and a new universal sharing feature with iOS that finally mimics the seamless ease of AirDrop across different operating systems.
It's a lot.
It all sounds like absolute magic.
Yeah.
But every magic trick, has a mechanism, and every mechanism has a cost. We have to look at what it actually takes to run Android 17 and what you are giving up in the process.
Security and privacy are really at the forefront of this reality check. Because the system is so powerful, the guardrails have to be equally robust. Google is introducing native app locking, advanced protection mode, and crucially, encrypted client hello, or ECH.
Okay, ECH. For those of us who aren't network engineers, how does ECH actually protect us?
Okay, so normally, even when you visit a secure, encrypted HTTPS website, the initial handshake between your phone and the server includes something called the server name indication.
Right.
This means your internet service provider can't see what you are actually doing on a website, but they can still see that you are visiting, say, example.com.
Yeah.
ECH encrypts that initial handshake. It hides the domain name completely, so your ISP, or anyone snooping on public Wi-Fi, only sees a secure tunnel. It completely masks your destination.
That's a massive privacy upgrade. And they are also heavily prioritizing local, on-device processing to keep data out of the cloud. There's a new on-device anomaly detection system.
Yes.
The AI basically builds a local baseline of your normal behavior. If an autonomous agent suddenly tries to mass export your contacts or, access your banking app at 3 a.m. without a prompt, the hardware blocks it instantly because it falls outside your behavioral baseline.
Right. But this raises an important question regarding the fundamental tension between privacy marketing and agentic AI.
How so?
Well, yes, processing things locally is absolutely more secure than sending it to a server. But an AI that acts on your behalf, that books your classes and reads your college syllabus, it still requires granular access to your most intimate data to function at all.
Right, it has to know everything to do everything.
Exactly. You are basically trading a layer of opacity for convenience. The data never leaves the phone, but the phone knows absolutely everything about you.
And the other major cost is the hardware itself. This is the big catch. Fragmentation, the dirty word of the Android ecosystem.
It really is. The beta reports confirm that only the newest Pixel devices and the absolute premium tier of Samsung Galaxy phones are going to get these features first.
That's tough.
If you have a device that is even a couple of years old, you are going to miss out on the advanced Gemini features entirely.
It feels incredibly limiting, but there is a physical reason for it, right? To run these multi-step autonomous agents natively without literally melting the phone, you need massive amounts of RAM and dedicated neural processing units, or NPUs.
Right. A great way to visualize the hardware gap is to think about a standard CPU versus an NPU. A standard CPU is like a brilliantly fast mathematician. They can solve incredibly complex equations, but they do it one at a time.
Yeah.
An NPU, however, is like a massive stadium full of middle schoolers doing simple arithmetic simultaneously. To process AI models efficiently, you don't need the brilliant mathematician. You need the stadium doing millions of simple calculations at the exact same time.
And older phones only have the mathematician.
Exactly. If you force them to run a generative AI model, you drain their energy instantly, killing the battery in minutes.
And performance and battery life remain the biggest question marks here. Google is promising that this on-device optimization will keep your phone alive through the day. But running a stadium of middle schoolers inside your phone takes serious power.
It really does. Real-world, everyday testing outside of a perfectly controlled beta environment is going to be the true test.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, first things first, check your phone specs. We are entering an era of a two-tiered Android ecosystem. If your device is a few years old, you will get the Android 17 visual experience. You'll get the nice liquid glass blur, the smooth animations, and the split quick settings. But you aren't getting the eager executive assistant.
The hardware demands of the proactive intelligence system are simply just too high for legacy silicon.
Right. So to wrap this all up, Android 17 is a monumental pivot. Between the Gemini Intelligence running the logistics, Rambler actively producing your communication, the calmer liquid glass UI offsetting the heavy backend,
Right.
and of course those hefty hardware demands. Google is doing two things.
Right.
First, they are throwing down a massive gauntlet, basically forcing the competition, especially Apple Intelligence, to seriously raise their game.
Yeah.
And second, they're essentially forcing users to upgrade their hardware if they want a ticket to participate in this new era of mobile computing.
Definitely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the ultimate goal of all this technology, the background automations, the intelligent transcription, the real-time predictive widgets that should be giving us our time back.
Right.
It is about reducing the friction of daily life, provided we know how to manage it, understand the mechanisms, and maintain our privacy.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over. If Android 17 truly delivers on this promise, if it learns to perfectly anticipate your routines, if it flawlessly books your spinning classes without asking, if it expertly edits your awkward hesitations out of your voice notes, and if it successfully filters your doom scrolling to protect your peace, at what point does the phone stop being a reflection of your choices and start actually shaping your behavior?
Wow.
If your phone predicts your life perfectly, who is really the one in charge? Are you operating the system, or is the proactive intelligence system operating you? Something to think about the next time you look at that screen. We will see you on the next deep dive.